Welcome to the In My Opinion show. I am Henry Hatter, your host this afternoon. We will be talking to Mr. and Mrs. Timothy Hicks, better known as the Mrs. as Toni.
Mm-hmm.
And Toni, we would welcome.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And Pastor Hicks, welcome.
Yes, thank you so much.
Today we will be talking about the issues of the prevailing conditions of churches around the country and in our community. And I'm going to ask Pastor Hicks first.
Yes.
Who is Pastor Hicks?
Pastor Hicks is a gentleman who's been born and raised in the city of Flint and have graduated from Northern High School, went on to seminary where I graduated with associates and also a bachelor's degree in religion and education, so I had a double major. Went on, while I was doing that, I was also employed with General Motors, and I started off at age 17 and went into skilled trades.
I'm glad you mentioned the fact that you were a graduate from a major college or university, because that gives you credibility.
Yes.
And many people will say, well, I'm inspired to teach. And that is not always good.
Right.
You have to learn from the great masters
Oh, yes.
who taught and learn much of what we know about Christ and humanity from others
Yes.
who have majored in this stuff.
Oh,
And you say that you also you work for General Motors
yes.
as a qualified administrator of General Motors, that's given you great responsibility to take care of issues that pertain to General Motors.
Yes.
So I thank you and welcome.
Thank you.
I'd like to ask you if the mission of the church, if the church has three missions, what are most likely to be one of those and a priority?
Okay.
Give me the second one. If you can think of the third, give me the third one.
Okay. All right. The
Now,
first
there
one.
are people out there that's going to be watching you, and they're going to be comparing your response to theirs and ready for a debate.
Oh, yes. Our first one, and its primary, is to witness to the lost, to get them into a relationship with Jesus Christ, that they will have a relationship and know where they're going when they leave here. Our second one is to minister or also reach out into the community through our outreach programs, to where it's not just enough to, if the Bible says if a man is hungry, do we give him a stone? No, we give him something to eat. And so we like to show the people that through our actions that Jesus Christ cares about you, and we do too, by the way we help you and help try to meet your needs.
Well, it's a great point that you say that people do need food to refurbish your body. And I would ask you this question. What comes first, the chicken or the egg? Does faith come first, or is it the money?
Faith comes first. Faith brings about a lot of things, a lot of blessings. Faith opens a lot of doors. Faith also gives you favor where money can't. Because money can't always, we need money, but we don't always look to money to be the answer to our situation. But by faith, we know if we trust God to make a way and provide, He will usually do that through giving you favor with other people to where they will be a blessing to you.
Can you function without money
No,
in the church?
no. The money need is there.
There are people out there who are trying to figure this out. Pastor, there are doors closing every day on churches.
Yes, they
can't
are.
afford to pay the light bill. They can't afford to
Yes.
pay the mortgages. They cannot afford to keep the buildings up.
Yes.
They're suffering. They're hurting.
Oh, yes.
Now, can I ask you that question again?
Sure.
Does faith come first or the money?
Well, it still has to be faith, because in order to persevere through it all, you have to have faith, knowing that things are going to change. That I can do all things through Christ, who gives me strength.
Folks, I want you to listen to what the pastor is that this will be new to some of you, because he is a man that's between two generations, the old generation and the new generation, who may not look at things the way they did 50 years ago.
Correct.
So you're hinged right between them.
Oh,
So
yes.
many of the older ones won't change that for all. They won't say money does not have a solution in the problems that churches have.
Mhm.
They'll say that your faith. If you're not praying hard enough and you're not doing the right things, God won't bless you.
Right.
But continue with that thought.
Yes. And so when we talk about God hearing and answering prayers, we have done a lot on little finance because of what the Lord has allowed us to do with just a handful of individuals. But having the faith and their trusting and believing that God is going to answer prayer, God is going to hear, God is going to move, and He don't always come when we would like for Him to, or respond to the way we would wish He would, but it always works out. It always works out. The way we do our ministry, the way we do our charitable contributions as far as to the community, our outreach programs, we can just see the Lord's hand working through all of those things, whether it be through our food bank ministry, whether it be through our clothing ministry, or whether it be through our diaper ministry that we do our diaper distribution. We can see how the need is so great. And I can understand why Jesus said, truly, the harvest is plentiful, but the laborers are few.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned outreach, because that was your second mission
Yes.
president.
Mm-hmm.
That's very important. You know, there are people out there that are hurting. We said churches were hurting.
Yes.
But there are people who are physically hurting
Mm-hmm.
and psychologically hurting
Yes.
and spiritually hurting.
Yes.
But when you go out to outreach,
Mm-hmm.
people don't want to hear this pastor that many people do. And
Right.
they do this without thinking.
Yes.
They'll say, folks, let me tell you what God has done for me today.
Mm-hmm.
And here the poor guy is being pushed out of his home,
Yes.
or her,
Yes.
having all kind of difficulty,
Yes.
and the person is talking about what God has done for him.
Yes.
And does that turn people off?
Yes,
Turn
it
them
does.
down?
Yes.
Explain.
Because it's easy for you to talk about what God has done for you, but if you're not willing to, say, set pride aside and share what God has blessed you with or allowed you to be able to do, because God blesses us to be a blessing to others. And so it's not just enough for me to be blessed and hoard it all for myself, but I need to be willing to share with someone who's in worse shape than I am.
You know, I probably would have been afraid to ask most pastors that,
Mm-hmm.
because I think I would offend them.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm glad that
Oh, no.
I'm glad that we chose you as, and you can tell by how the staff feels about you.
Mhm,
You
yes.
feel very comfortable
Yes.
with you.
Yes.
They don't think that you would skirt away from tough questions.
Oh, no.
They don't think that you're insecure here,
Mhm.
but you're stable and comfortable.
Yes.
And that's the kind of people that the public wants to talk to.
Yes. Yes.
That's trustworthy.
Yes.
You can see a person like that. Now, I'd like to, you know, a lot of time has changed in the last 100 years.
Mm-hmm.
And today, should we focus on the people who live in this generation whose plans were made by others 100 years ago or 50 years ago? Or should you be focusing on those? Or should you focus on the millennials? See, the thing is, there's a great divide between people in these
Yes,
days,
yes,
between
there
the
is.
two groups. And I think it confuses humanity, because kids say they want you to listen to them, they want you to hear, they want you to be respectful to their views and stuff like that. No, people say, well, you got to do it the way we did it.
Yes.
And if you don't do it that way, that's not God's way, and you won't find the security of the heavenly kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
Please speak to that.
Yes. And the reason why there is such a great divide is because when you look at the generations, a lot of us, matter of fact, even in my age group of the 50 age bracket, a lot of us, when we came up, you had to go to church. That was just a mandated. But a lot of us that were raised that way said, when I get older, I'm not going to force my children to go to church. I'm going to give them the choice. I'm going to give them the option to do that. You know, but giving a child that does not know what's best for them at the time a choice to say whether they want something or not is not the best way to go. But because of that, we have caused that bridge and that gap to get wider and wider, because now we have a generation that doesn't even know really about church. And then the churches as a whole have not really been doing what they need to do as a whole. Because if we were outreaching more and more and letting the people know that it's not just about coming to church on Sunday mornings or on Wednesday evenings, but it's about what can I do to help my fellow man? If there's something, if we can meet a need, because some people are not, homeless, they're just houseless. And some people are not out and begging, but they are people that are falling on hard times, because we live in a hard society, because people have transitioned from Flint out to other areas because of the water crisis, because of jobs leaving, and so because you have a lot of good people going through bad situations. And because we have good people going through bad situations, they still need to know that somebody around here cares. Yes. Somebody around here has compassion to help us and to do for us what others may not be willing to do.
Sister Tanya, do you agree?
Yes.
Well, let us hear
I
something.
do agree with that, because people need us. I'm willing to help. We're willing to help. That was my passion years. I had a vision years ago of helping people that's in need.
But you do things where can you demonstrate that? I know we'll see them on picture. Can you talk about a little bit of that?
I have a nonprofit called Hopes for Angel, helping people that's in need with clothing, diapers, and food. So caseworkers, social workers, nurses been coming to our church on a daily basis, Monday through Friday, and we've been feeding a family of 10 or 12 or more. And they call. If I'm at work, I have my mother-in-law, if she's not busy, to come over to the church and prepare the items for the individual. So I'm glad, I'm thankful, and I get a joy out of it, making sure that someone has something to eat. What I eat, I want them to eat. So we give out milk, cereal, eggs, chicken, you name it, hamburger meat. We making sure the needs are fulfilled with each individual. But we get a joy out of the phone calls. I have to call my husband and say, we got another call. You got another call. You got another call. We feed. I get so overwhelmed with that. And just helping the people in our community. Yes. Just helping.
Pastor Hicks, yes. What an inspiration for you.
Yes.
Yes. Your wife.
Yes. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that you're teaching, you're sending young people a message that there is hope.
Yes.
For humanity.
Yes.
Oh yes.
In the future.
Yes.
By
Yes.
people who exhibit that kind of attitude toward
Yes.
people.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And we will see pictures of what Sister Tanya has done and Pastor Hicks has done over the years
Yes.
to provide outreach to their congregation.
Yeah, and not just to our congregation, but also to the community.
To the community.
Because we stopped a young man who was walking through our parking lot one night, who didn't have a jacket. He just had his shirt on. And we asked him, do you have a jacket? He said, no, I don't. I said, come on. And we took him inside the church and let him pick out a coat that he could wear. Yeah, and it was cold. And we let him pick out a coat, and if he needed some pants, he got a few items, and he was so thankful. But he got out of there a lot warmer than what he was.
I'm inspired by what you're talking about.
Oh, yes.
Because you're drawing me off script, because I'm so inspired by what you're doing. Have you ever considered inviting, now this is one that bothers everybody, they don't talk about it, but during the cold months of winter, there are people that are on the streets.
Yes.
Do you ever consider perhaps one of these days that you open up your church, and I want other churches to hear this, that you would open up your church and let's demonstrate that you do have compassion and love and humanity for other people who are hurting.
Oh yes. Matter of fact, we were going to do that last winter, but we didn't have heat ourselves. Our boiler broke down. It froze solid, and it broke down. And we went for from December 31st up until June 30th of last year with no heat. And so we had 2 roof units, and we used those just to try to make it tolerable. But it was hard holding service because when you have seniors that are in your congregation, nobody wants to sit in a cold or even a slightly cold church. And so therefore it makes it harder for you to operate the way you normally would operate. But the Lord blessed us to be able to get financing for our boiler. So we do have a new boiler system in and everything at the tune of $63,000.
As we can see, well, you got a very efficient boiler. And the size of your building, 25,000 feet, it looks like 50,000. What a Garden of Eden your chapel is, and the whole facility is. And people, you would think that people would want to take their shoes off before they walk in. This is a beautiful building. It has character of its own. It has love in there. And there are many graphic pictures that make people feel at home and comfortable. And we will show that to our audience later. But I'm sure that the millennials out there would like to, and I wish we had the phone system up so that we could get some feedback from the public on this. But next time we'll do that because we're going to have to come back many times. Well, let me ask you this. Should we, and I might have asked you, I might have touched upon it, should we cater to the young people? I don't remember what we said about
Well, we should cater to
older people.
Yeah, we should cater to both of them because all of them are important. And you can mix, you can bridge the great divide by letting them know, no matter what you're going through, you have not only God caring for you, but you have us caring for you. We pray for you. Matter of fact, we work with on Thursday nights. We work with over almost 30 young men throughout the inner city, where we take them. We go over to Judson Baptist Church. And Pastor Greg, I tell you, he's awesome. But he works. They've been doing this for the past 3 or 4 years. But they go into the inner city with a bus, and they pick up these young men and bring them over there. And what we do is we allow them to play basketball, and then we also minister to them, teaching them about the love of God, and also allowing them to be fed. Where we feed them, we make them good hot meals. Homemade meals a lot of times, whether it be lasagna, whether it be tacos or whatever it is. That's what we do that, and then we allow them to play some more. So it starts at 6:30, usually till 5:30 until 8 o'clock.
You know, Pastor, I'm just a little bit, and Sister Toni, I'm a little bit afraid that time is going to run out on me, and there's so many things that I'm going to have to kind of brush it here, and I really don't want to. But what should be done? And we're talking about churches. That was our that was our principal issue. Churches throughout the United States, and particularly those in the city of Flint with closed doors and with or barricaded doors or chains or whatever, and whose lights are off, and the church's lights should always be on. There should be no restriction. People should not be graded into poor and rich or black and white and old and young and stuff like that. But the church should be an open receptacle for everybody. Now looking at this, now the problem in Flint is not unique. This problem is throughout the country. There are Mexicans and whites who are hurting in the same way. And what would you advise other people to do to begin to address some of the problems of the lack of money and that faith won't take care of? Can you talk about that? The church needs money, and there are reasons why the church doesn't have money. And I have a pastor. I did some research about churches throughout the United States here last night and the night before, and I'll read those later. But what do you think that we need to do to incentivize, first of all, the churches in Flint to make them become better? And I know that you by yourself would probably meet a lot of adversity because people don't want to be left behind, not even in your profession.
Correct.
They don't want you to outstep them.
Mm-hmm.
So how do we go about creating a process, procedure, or platform to deal with the problems that churches face? And most of it's money.
Yes. And the one thing that we look at is one move that we are doing right now, and Pastor Bernie Shields has been instrumental in us dealing with and bringing pastors together. It's called the Gathering of the Shepherds. And it's really where we have everybody has put self aside for a common goal of edifying. If we can bring the pastors together as one, if we can get them with no other agenda, but how can we better our communities? How can we better our city? How can we make a change in our state? And that is, self is put aside. We come together on Tuesdays at 6 o'clock, and we have prayer, we have worship as one united body we have like 10 or 12 pastors where we come together, and we're steady trying to draw more in, because as we do that, the Bible says if we become one, he said, if 2 or 3 are gathered together in my name, touching and agreeing, he said, I'll be there. I'll make the change happen. I'll do what needs to be done if you all come together. But a lot of times, the reason why things don't happen and change doesn't happen is because we fail to come together as one, because there's too many with ulterior motives, different agendas, big I's, little U's. And so therefore, when we come together as one, with no other ulterior motives, with everything else aside, not to build your church up, not to build this, but just coming together to where we can put ourselves in alignment with the Word of God. Let God be God.
You know, I submit to you that there are sources of money out there to do exactly what you want to do.
Yes.
But it's got to be done by a large group of people working for common cause.
Yes.
For the right reasons.
For the right reasons, yes.
Philanthropists, corporations, institutions, and other givers as individuals will not give to churches who are disjointed and not well organized and will not work for the common good.
Right.
There's just millions of dollars that are waiting out there. Even the Flint Foundation has millions of dollars out there just waiting to be given for the right purpose.
And we're waiting to receive.
Waiting.
Yeah, and there's the Kellogg Foundation, the Mott Foundation, the Ford Foundation, the GM Foundation. We could go on and on. These foundations have just these billions of dollars in escrow that's just waiting to give it money away that could benefit humanity. But they don't want fluff.
Right.
They don't want you to pretend that you're doing something for other people just to make yourself look good. Right. They want you to do the right thing that improves humanity. For example, and I don't mean to monopolize.
Oh, no, you're fine.
They want to see how churches influence societies.
Yes.
How they make sure that that our city is wholesome, it's clean, it's supported by people who have a love for the city, and who wants to see the city provide jobs and safety for women and children and other people. But you have to put it together in a written form and present it to foundations. And it's going to take, but you can't have pastors out there moving in different directions.
Right.
They got to be all concerted. That's the most difficult challenge I see that the church has.
Yes.
Is to get that kind of. Do you suppose you could work on that?
Yes. As a matter of fact, we are striving to do that because the need is so great. And it started off just by having one common goal that we were striving to do through the Gathering of the Shepherds, is we did a memorial park for Herbert Hart, a young pastor who was shot down due to violence. and it was due to actually mistaken identity, but nevertheless, it was a fatal incident. But we wanted to commemorate that to where it would never be forgotten, to where now, where our church used to be, we had 13 city lots, and we're turning those 13 city lots into a memorial park, which is on a corner of Foster and Van Wagner. And so we are working now in conjunction with the city to touch bases with them to get the necessary approvals and everything, but everybody's on the board and in agreement that that would be an awesome thing to have right in the inner city community, to where it can also be landscaped because of the help of others in this community, as well as have a little garden where they can have a neighborhood garden where they can come and get greens, and they can get vegetables and stuff as they grow in the garden.
And you know, the church is so vitally important.
Mm-hmm.
It's more important than pastors think they are. Now,
Oh,
I'm
yes.
a layman,
Mm-hmm.
but I'll tell pastors that the church is more important than they think it is.
Mm-hmm.
In 150 years ago, it used to be a place where they were allowed to congregate
Mm-hmm.
and to do good things. Guys, this time goes by so fast. But I'm going to invite you back because we
Yes,
haven't got
please.
started. I want to talk about what you think the solution ought to be. Some good ideas coming from you to go out to the audience.
Okay.
And
Yes.
I appreciate you guys. You've been
Oh,
wonderful
we've
on the
been-
show
Yes.
today. I'm just sorry I didn't get around to those other issues that I wanted to say there covered. But I'll see until he comes up, and then I have to drop it real quickly and run.
Oh, yes.
But a church clergyman by the name of Thomas Rayner, a number of years wrote why churches were declining in the United States. Cultural Christianity, which is declining rapidly, and it is not a necessarily a custom of following Christianity.
Right.
It's a definition that has little meaning.
Mm-hmm.
And then the end of the builder's generation, which is the baby boomers.
Yes.
Those were the ones
Yes.
after the Second World War that we had to, that really put these systems together because they were so institutional. And I need to go, and we'll come back in a minute.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, well, thank you, Tanya, Sister Tanya, and
Yes.
Pastor Hicks. Thank you very
God
much for
bless
this
you. Yes.
show.
Yes,
It was a
And-
pleasure being
yes,
here.
pleasure.
I want to invite you back again because we got a lot
Yes.
to talk about.
Yes.
And there are people who are probably wondering how you plan to put this package together. And I think that we can do it working with others. We can
Yes.
help you
Oh, yeah.
incentivize it and find out the right kind of foundations and corporations that you can do. But you got to have pastors behind you. They cannot be playing games. You've got to be serious.
Yes. Yes.
And I appreciate that, and thank you.
Thank you.
I'm gonna. And now our show comes to an end, and until then, stay focused.